भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading Canto 6, Chapter 5, Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha from text 23 to 33. Text 23. The Aryasvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, were very well behaved, cultured sons, but unfortunately, because of the instructions of Narad Muni, they deviated from the order of their father. When Daksha heard this news, which was brought to him by Narad Muni, he began to lament. Although he was the father of such good sons, he had lost them all. Certainly, this was lamentable. Text 24. When Prajapati Daksha was lamenting for his lost children, Lord Brahma pacified him with instructions, and thereafter Daksha begot 1,000 more sons, more children in the womb of his wife Panchajani. This time, his sons were known as Salvasvas. Text 25. In accordance with their father's order to beget children, the second group of sons also went to Narayana Saras, the same place where their brothers had previously attained perfection by following the instructions of Narada. Undertaking great vows of austerity, the Savalasvas remained at the holy place. Text 26. At Narayana Saras, the second group of sons performed penances in the same way as the first. They bathed in the holy water, and by its touch, all the dirty material desires in their hearts were cleansed away. They murmured mantras beginning with Omkara and underwent severe courses of austerities. Text 27 and 28. For a few months, the sons of Prajapati Daksha drank only water and ate only air. Thus undergoing great austerities, they recited this mantra. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always situated in his transcendental abode. Since he is the Supreme Person, Paramahamsa, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Text 29. O King Parikshit, Narad Muni approached these sons of Prajapati Daksha who were engaged in tapasya to beget children and spoke enigmatic words to them just as he had spoken to their elder brothers. Text 30. O son of Daksha, please hear my words of instruction attentively. You are all very affectionate to your elder brothers, the Aryasvas. Therefore, you should follow their path. Text 31. A brother aware of the principles of religion follows in the footsteps of his elder brothers. Because of being highly elevated, such a pious brother gets the opportunity to associate and enjoy with demigods like Maruts, who are all affectionate to their brothers. Text 20, Text 32. Sukadev Goswami continued, O best of the advanced Aryans, after saying this much to the sons of Prajapati Daksha, Narad Muni, whose merciful glance never goes in vain, left as he had planned. The sons of Daksha followed their elder brothers, not attempting to produce children. They engaged themselves in Krishna consciousness. Text 33. The Savalasvas took the correct path, which is obtainable by the mode of life meant to achieve devotional service, or the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like knights that have gone to the west, they have not returned even until now. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thanks so much, Pradeep Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, whenever you're ready, Krishna and Prabhu, you can start, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. And thank you, Pradeep Prabhuji, for reading today's Bhagavatam section slokas translations. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Sunyavadi Paschatta Deshitarani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just to give a background, so we are in the section where in the last chapter we saw that when Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami to describe the further details of the creation. So then Sukadeva Goswami mentioned the details of the further creation, starting with Prachetas. So when they performed the great austerity, and when they came out from the austerity, they saw that the Earth planet was having many unnecessary trees grow up. So they thought to destroy it, but the moon god requested not to do that. And moon god, on the request of moon god, the Prachetas didn't do that. And then, pleased by their kindness, moon god gave a beautiful girl called Ramalocha Apsara to Prachetas. And through this Apsara, Prachetas got Daksha, who is a Prajapati. Daksha started creating demigods, demons, human beings like that. But when he saw that the population was not increasing as expected, so he performed a great austerity and also offered a wonderful praise called Amsaguhya to Supreme Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu became pleased with him, and he also fulfilled the desire by directing him to marry Prajapati Panchajana's daughter Askini to increase the population. So now we see here in this chapter, so how in the last session we heard from His Grace Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, how Daksha Prajapati, so he got 10,000 of sons from the womb of his wife Panchajani, and they were all very good character people, and they are known as Haryasvas. And by the order of their father, they went to the this place called Narayana Saras and practiced a great austerity to fulfill their father's desire to increase the population. But when Narada Muni saw that these cultured and nice people, so he thought to give the highest spiritual knowledge, which is Krishna consciousness. And Narada Muni helped them to understand the ultimate goal of life and advised them not to become ordinary karmis to beget children. Of course, by following the instructions of Narada Muni, so Daksha Prajapati's sons, these 10,000 sons, so they took up the Krishna consciousness, and then they did not came back to the house of Daksha Prajapati to indulge in the increase of the populations. So we'll continue that from the sloka 23rd today. In the 23rd sloka, we see that the sons of Prajapati Daksha, so were very well behaved, cultured sons, but on the instructions of Narada Muni, so they deviated from the order of their father. So that's why Daksha Prajapati was very unhappy. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that since Narada Muni preached Krishna consciousness, they, instead of fulfilling their father's order, so they took up this Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of the human life. So actually, that is good for the Daksha sons, because they are through this process, if they perfect their life, they can go back home, back to Godhead. So since it is good for their sons, Daksha's sons, so as a father, Daksha should be happy, but instead he was feeling unhappy because they were very good sons and he lost them. And Prabhupada also mentions the similar instance that happened in ISKCON also. could be happening now also. Like when some young boys inspired by the wonderful spiritual process of this Krishna consciousness, if they join in the ISKCON temple as a full-time brahmachari, obviously the parents they become very unhappy. So they lament by their son joining full-time in the ISKCON, and sometimes they also propaganda the negative things against ISKCON. So, and Prabhupada mentioned that is the way of the materialistic life. So materialistic father or mother, they want their kids to take up a job, get married, and produce children like how they are doing it. So of course it's very natural as the mother and father they wanted to, because that's how they wanted to do it. But if they take up Krishna consciousness and join full time, the materialistic fathers and mother they'll feel very bad or unhappy. Of course, as a practicing devotee, so some of them probably they are very happy if they take up Krishna consciousness, and some may uh, be happy, and at the same time they want their kids to be continue their materialistic life also. But of course, if one is very advanced stage, if their kids join as a full time, they are very happy. So, and sometimes the parents after the kids join, initially they may be feeling very unhappy, but once they join the take up the Krishna conscious and progress in Krishna conscious nicely, and helping the society in understanding this great spiritual knowledge so that they can make their human life successful, and also inspiring them also. The father and mother also gets inspired from the kids. At that time, they become very happy seeing their son or daughter progressing nicely in Krishna consciousness like that. So similarly here also, Daksha Prajapati was lamenting by losing his wonderful kids. So in the text 24, when Daksha Prajapati was lamenting his children, of course Lord Brahma, so he pacified him, and Daksha Prajapati again started creating the population, and this time he created 1,000 children from his from the womb of his wife Panchajani, and this time his sons were known as Savalasvas. And Prabhupada mentions that the name Daksha itself means expert. So Daksha Prajapati is very expert in begetting children. So and at the same time we see that Narada Muni is very expert in delivering the conditioned souls from this material world and send them back to Godhead. So one is an expert in the materialistic perspective and one is expert in the spiritual perspective. So that's why generally it's two directions. So there could be sometimes a disagreement between the materialistic person and the spiritual person. There could be disagreement. But of course, that doesn't mean that the devotees should stop their preaching of Krishna consciousness for the sake of the materialistic people. In fact, that is the great service for the society, so that they can make their human life successful, and then they can go back home, back to Godhead. And it is also pleasing to the Supreme Lord Krishna. And in the text 25, so here we see that this 1,000 sons of Daksha Prajapati, so on their father's order to beget children, so they also went to the same place, Narayana Sarasa, where their brothers had previously performed austerity. And also they attained perfection by following the instructions of Narada. And they also started taking the great vows of austerity and reminded that holy place practicing the austerity. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so according to the Vedic literature, before one gets into the Grihastha ashrama, they should be trained. They should be trained to get the spiritual knowledge or the Vedic knowledge. So as a brahmachari, they should understand this the Vedic knowledge, and then they can take up the decision whether they want to continue their spiritual journey as a brahmachari and then go back home, back to Godhead, or they enter into the Grihastha life. So here, Prabhupada also mentions that before taking up that, they also perform the great austerity, so that they can get the understanding of the spiritual knowledge. And Prabhupada mentions that even though there is a risk of Narada Muni might come again and preach Krishna consciousness, but Daksha Prajapati, as a duty of the father, he sent him to further to perform the austerity. So that's the duty of the father, to give the spiritual knowledge, Vedic knowledge, so that they can get the knowledge, and then later they can decide how they want to move, which direction they want to go. So in the text 26, see that the second group of the sons, so they also performed the penances in the same way as their brother. So they took up the bath in the holy water, which removes the dirty material desires. And then they chanted the mantras, started with the Omkara, and then underwent the severe course of austerities. And Prabhupada mentions that this Omkara mantra is called Brahmakshara. So, and whatever the Vedic mantras that starts with Omkara, they're called Brahma. It's like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Narayana. So all these mantras, they're called Brahma because they starts with the Brahmakshara called Omkara. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport, quoting the Bhagavad Gita 7.8, that Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that in all the Vedic mantras, he is the Omkara. So it's a Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. So Pranava means Omkara. So in all the Vedic mantras, Krishna represents the Pranava mantra. So any Vedic mantras chanting with starting with Omkara, so it is chanting the Krishna's holy name also. Similar to like that. Of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he recommended in this age of Kali Yuga to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, and this is also mentioned in the scriptures. Iti Shodasa Namnam Kali Kalmana Kalmashanashanam Nataro Parataropayo Sarva Vedeshu Drishyati. Like, this 16 syllables Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful, potent, that you don't find any other process or Vedic mantras than this thing for this age of Kali Yuga. And in the text 27 to 28, we see that these sons of Prajapati Daksha, so they performed a great austerity. So they drank only water, and they lived by the air, and they recited this mantra, let us offer our respectable obeisances unto Narayana, so who is always situated in his transcendental abode, and is the supreme person, and let us offer our respectable obeisance unto him, like that. And Prabhupada mentioned that from this we can understand that so before chanting the Vedic mantras, one should go through the severe austerity, like what we have mentioned here. So they only drank water and they ate only air, like that. Of course, in the in this age of Kali Yuga, so probably it is very difficult, at least for me, just live drinking water and taking air as the for the living purpose. So, but Prabhupada gave very simple austerity for us, following the 4 regulative principles, like no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, like that. Because for the age of Kali Yuga, so people are not so powerful to perform this great austerity, like just living by drinking water or eating air, like that. And also we are in the age of Kali Yuga, people are short-lived, like Prayena Alpayeshu, and they are Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya, like, they're always disturbed. So that's why it is difficult to perform the severe studies that were mentioned here. But this simple austerity, we can try to follow that, the 4 regulative principles. Of course, this itself sometimes many people mentions that it is very difficult. Like when one Britisher came to know that these are the 4 regulative principles that one should perform to progress in the path of bhakti, he said it is impossible. So we can understand that, for this age of Kali Yuga, people of Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to perform great austerity. But this is the simple austerity that is recommended for the age of Kali Yuga. And in the text 29, so Narada Muni again approached these sons of the Prajapati Daksha, and then he spoke the enigmatic words to them, which he had spoken to their elder brothers. So Narada Muni, being great Vaishnava, so he always sees an opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. They could be very exalted people, or they could be they are very sinful personalities. So Narada Muni always goes to each and everyone and gives this Krishna consciousness. So we could see that here. So he gave the Krishna consciousness to these brothers, the elder brothers, earlier the 10,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha, and now these 1,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha. So similarly, we see in the scriptures, Narada Muni, he has given this Krishna consciousness to the people who are very sinful also, like the dacoit Ratnakar, who became Valmiki Mahamuni, or Mrugari, like that. So he always preaches this Krishna consciousness. And then the text 30, so we see that Narada Muni mentioning to these sons of Prajapati Daksha, and saying that so you all very affectionate to your elder brother, so hence they should follow their path. So here Narada Muni, Prabhupada mentions that so Narada Muni is preaching to these brothers of the Haryavashas, like pointing that using their brotherly relationship or brotherly affection. So when we use the family relationship, which is very strong, then the others family members can be able to take, like some of the family took up Krishna consciousness. For the others, if we can refer to that person, then they are also inspired and to take up the Krishna consciousness. So Narada Muni here reminded to the second group of the Daksha's sons about their first group of the sons of Daksha, like their brotherly relationship, and requested them to follow their path. So Narada Muni, being knowing that how to preach, so here he used the family relationship. So the devotees are very intelligent, like they will use perfect instructions to the people of conditioned living entities, so that they can be inspired and take up the process of bhakti. And then the text 31, Narada Muni mentions that a brother aware of principles religions follows in the footsteps of his elder brothers, and because of being highly elevated, such a pious brother gets the opportunity to associate and enjoy with the demigods like Maruds. And Prabhupada mentions that one who is very faithful to their brothers and follow the similar path, so they will be promoted to the planet where the Maruds are there, and they can enjoy. Of course, here Narada Muni is requesting them to follow the path of Krishna consciousness, which their brothers took. So these brothers, when they take up the Krishna consciousness and perfect their life, they will also go back to Godhead, as their brothers went to the spiritual world, like that. And then the text 32, Sukadeva Goswami mentions that here. So because of Narada Muni's merciful glance on this second group of the sons, and the devotees' merciful glance never goes in vain. So that's why even the sons of the second group of the sons of Daksha, they also followed their elder brother's path. and not attempting to the produce children, they engage themselves in Krishna consciousness. So this is a very instructive and one very wonderful point for us. The devotee's merciful glance never goes vain. So that's why it is very, we see that in the scriptures, time to time, in many places, it is recommended or stressed that to take the association of the devotees. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hai. So even if we take a moment's association of a pure devotee, then we can attain all success. We can make our human life successful and go back home, back to Godhead. Of course, we see that there are many pastimes in the scriptures. And also, if we observe our own life, we can understand that, at least I can speak myself, by the association of the devotee and their compassion and their mercy. So we are also connected to Krishna consciousness, this wonderful process of bhakti and progressing in the path of bhakti. So which is the ultimate goal of the human life. And from the scriptures also we can see, like, the best example here we see that Narada Muni. So he gave the association to this decade Ratnakara, who became a great saintly personality, Valmiki Mahamuni. And he was also elevated to such an exalted person where he compiled or he wrote the Ramayana, like that. And he inspired this animal killer, Mrugari, to become a great saintly person. So like that, there are many pastimes. And we see that in the Srila Prabhupada Leelamritam, by the association of Srila Prabhupada, so many Americans, Europeans, who are addicted to all kinds of sinful activities. So they became great devotees. So like that. So in the scriptures, we see that even if someone who is very sinful personality, if they took up the association of great devotees, so they can make their human life successful. So in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that Kirata Huna Andhra Pulinda Pulkasa, like, those are people which are mentioned that E Anya Cha Papa Yat Apasrayasraya, like, sinful personalities. But if they take up the association of the Krishna consciousness, I mean, the devotees of Supreme Lord, then they can make their human life successful. All their sinful reactions will be vanished, and all their anarthas will be purified, and then they can go back home, back to Godhead. So then what to speak if they serve the devotees nicely, then how much benefit they will get it. So that's why even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself mentions that he himself claims that he is the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. So he doesn't mention that he is the devotee of the Supreme Lord. So the higher position is the devotee, servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. So that's what even Lord Shiva mentions in his instructions in Padma Purana, like Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param. But he mentions that Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samarchanam, like that. Says that, out of the all worships, the worship to Lord Vishnu is the topmost. But above that is the worship of the devotees or rendering service to the Vaishnavas. So if we can serve nicely the Vaishnavas and take the association of the devotees, then we can make our human life successful, and then we can go back home, back to Godhead. So that's what we see here in the text 33 also. So the second group of the sons, the Savalasvas, they took the correct path because of the association of the Narada Muni and the instructions that Narada Muni gave. And because of the merciful glance of Narada Muni, which never goes in vain, that got benefited to the second group of the sons of Daksha, Savalasvas. So due to that, they took the correct path, and they molded their life to achieve devotional service at the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So they also, similar to their brothers, never returned back to Daksha Prajapati. So this is one of the great point or instruction, at least for myself, to be in the association of the devotees as best as we can, and then inspired by them, progress in the path of bhakti, and then achieve the success in our human life, which is going back home, back to Godhead. So thank you all for joining. I will pause it here. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much.